Good afternoon, Israel Briefers, and welcome to another edition of the Israel Brief, where you join me, Rolene Marks, for your top stories making headlines in Israel, free of the filters, free of the bull, beep, and with the occasional rant from me and one of the neighborhood dogs. Hey, this is a democracy, and if dogs want to speak, dogs can speak. Just a reminder, the Israel Brief comes to you every Monday to Thursday with the help of these guys, lay of the land. So let's take a look at those top stories making the headlines. But before we do it, I just want to remind everybody that it is day 697 since the 7th of October, and 48 of our brothers and sisters remain captive in the Gaza Strip. Their plight, their story is fast fading from global consciousness, and we need you guys to help us make sure that they are never, ever forgotten, and to put the pressure that the demand is increased, that they are released now. We want them all home now. So let's get into the top stories. And yesterday, the International Association of Genocide Scholars passed a resolution accusing Israel of basically meeting the definition of genocide in Gaza. Now, what is very interesting is if you read through the resolution, and of course, many lawyers have picked it apart piece by piece. Some of the definitions are redefined, and also they misquote the former president of the International Court of Justice, who said, in no way did we say that there is plausible genocide in Gaza. Now remember, genocide is a legal definition. It is not just what people can drum it up and say it is. It actually has certain criteria. Meanwhile, Israel's foreign ministry called the resolution disgraceful, an embarrassment to the legal profession, and the recycling of Hamas information. Now, what is very interesting is that the Association of Scholars is made up of 500 members, but only 129 actually voted. And 83% of the 129 voted in favor of the resolution. So no clear majority at all. What is also interesting is that one of the members has complained that they promised, she said she knew that the resolution was tabled, they promised to have a town hall or a discussion, and no discussion was held. She said that there seems to be an agenda to push a false accusation against Israel by certain parties within the organization. So stay tuned, because this goes to show, like we saw yesterday, we brought you the story of the 250 media outlets who also pushed an agenda, but we got wind of it and exposed it. There really is. We're not talking like drummed up conspiracy theory here, guys. There really does seem to be a concerted effort by the NGO ecosystem, by the media, to push this narrative onto Israel and accuse Israel of the crime of crimes, which is genocide. And to me, it's demonic. There's no other way to describe it. Belgium's foreign minister said yesterday that the country will recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly next month. He said they will also be imposing harsh sanctions on the Israeli government and on Hamas. Now, he went on to say that in no way do they want to punish the people of Israel, and that they are very aware of the trauma suffered by Israelis since the 7th of October. And that any recognition will be announced by royal decree following the release or the return of all 48 hostages, and when Hamas no longer has any kind of governance in the Gaza Strip. Now, what is interesting is that of all the people present at the UN General Assembly later this month, the Palestinians won't be there. Why is this, you ask? Well, guys, I'll tell you, of course I will. The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced last week that he is revoking the visas of Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas and the delegation, not only just to the confab, but also to a separate conference that they will be having on Palestinian statehood. And also very quietly, the US has apparently started to revoke visas or disallow the visas of Palestinians to enter the United States. President Herzog announced earlier today that he will fly to the Vatican on Thursday, where he will meet with Pope Leo as well as Cardinal Prime Minister Pietro Parolin. The president is expected to discuss the return of the hostages with the pontiff and the prime minister, as well as the fight against anti-Semitism and the protection of Christian communities in the Middle East. As we know, with the exception of Israel, Christian communities not only have dwindled in many parts of the Middle East, but also suffer tremendous persecution, a fact that the media does not report on, but we will report right here on the Israel Brief. Now, the president attended the inauguration of Pope Leo at the Vatican in May. And finally, yesterday I announced that Israel's children went back to school, and you could hear a whoop of joy around the country as parents rejoiced. I went to the mall here in Modi'in yesterday, and it was packed with parents getting their coffee on, enjoying their freedom. But a very special little girl began her first day in the first grade, and that was former hostage Avigail Idan. The image or the picture shared by her family of Avigail boarding the bus to school with a backpack bigger than she was just burst my heart with pride and with love, and the whole nation is with gorgeous Avigail. Now, her story is absolutely devastating. Avigail, who was abducted from Kfar Aza, was held in her father's arms on the morning of the 7th of October. And her father, who was a photojournalist for Yediot Achronot, one of the Hebrew dailies, went outside and photographed the paragliders as they were coming in, and he was killed with her in his arms. Their mother managed to get her siblings into the bomb shelter, and when Hamas came in, she was murdered in front of them. She managed to hide them in a closet inside the bomb shelter for many hours. These poor children sat there with their mother's murdered body in front of them. They had seen their father and their mother murdered in front of their eyes, and they spent time. They managed to take a cell phone into the closet with them and spoke to a dispatcher from United Hatzalah, the first responder team, as well as family members. They are extraordinary heroes, Michael and Amalia. But Avigail ran, covered in her father's blood, to the neighbors who were kidnapped, and she was released with them after 50-something days. She actually turned 4 in captivity. And as her grandfather said yesterday, that it was a day of mixed emotions, because on the one hand, this is her victory, but on the other hand, she's without her parents. And I tell you the story intentionally because we hear a lot about the children in Gaza, as we should. Israelis have tremendous compassion for children in Gaza. We don't want to see Palestinian children in any kind of distress or suffering. But the world has forgotten that we have children too. And many of our children are orphaned, either having lost one or both parents on the 7th of October, or who have lost a father, and in some cases a mother, who have fallen in defense of the country since the 7th of October. Our children have endured tremendous trauma over the last now nearly 2 years, having lived through war, sirens, the whole situation. The world has forgotten about them. UNICEF hasn't paid a visit to any of our orphans, any of our traumatized children, our children who were held hostage. They have that trauma to overcome. Some children still have parents being held hostage. So as you can imagine, the level of trauma for children in Israel is massive. And so if the world is not going to speak about them, I'm going to be the voice for them, and I know that you will too. So those are our top stories. And let's take a look at the audience question. It comes from Stephen Spinellis, who says, will Greta be arrested on terror charges? Well, this is interesting because Greta Thunberg and her very bizarre hairdo, some say she looks like Prince Valiant, some say she looks like He-Man, by the power of Grayskull, guys. Well, she was planning to set sail to Israel on the Sumud flotilla, the biggest flotilla of about 70 small boats, when yesterday the weather forced them to turn back. I mean, it's amazing that the former eco-gnome has now turned terror gnome. And personally, I think she just wants another sandwich, Stephen. You know, once you've had a good Israeli challah sandwich, it's hard not to want more. Well, our National Security Minister, Tamar Ben-Gvir, said that anyone coming here on the flotillas will be arrested and put in terror cells. So I don't know if they'll be arrested on terror charges, but they'll certainly be put in or incarcerated in the same cells used for terrorists. I'm sure they'll find familiar bedfellows. Anyway, that's it from me for today, guys. Don't forget to get your mentions and your morons to me. A lot of the nominations are coming in quite fast. In the meantime, our website is at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is at The Israel Brief. We're on Instagram at Rolene_Marks. We're on Facebook at Lottel Site. We're on Substack at Rolene Marks. We're on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks. We're on X at Lay of the Land 5. And guys, God bless you all. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.